biggest opponents of the new US tariffs is Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And that's left riders having to choose between their bike and their president. CNN's Bill Weir rolled up to the biggest bike rally in the world to discover which side the bikers are on.
They rumble in from all points on the compass, and for 1 week each summer, this little town of 7,000 explodes to 500,000.
But this is one city that looks nothing like the rest of America. You can go hours without seeing a person of color. In Sturgis, a minority is a white guy on a foreign bike.
There are no debates over gun control here or the ethics of the Me Too movement. And there is no doubt who is the leader of this pack.
But you're a fan of the president? You think he's doing a good job?
Of course, he's doing a lot better than what Obama did.
This Ghost Rider reveals himself as John Sands, a postal worker who rides up from Kentucky each year and, like so many I talk to, sees proof of Trump's brilliance in the booming economy.
What they'll tell you is they say, you know, it's the Trump bump. The economy is so good. People are feeling so good.
Rod Woodruff is the owner of the sprawling Buffalo Chip, a Disneyland for bikers, and says his campers have an average income of $95,000 a year.
70-some% are homeowners in the United States.
Okay.
Lots of people own multiple motorcycles.
We have a tattoo parlor up here. We've got food, pizza, anything you want at the free access crossroads.
Very good. You have your own jail?
No, we don't need
You
one.
don't need one, huh?
Violence and arrests are incredibly rare for a crowd of this size. One reason is that most folks share the same values, and those that don't keep it to themselves.
What I see here in motorcycling is a microcosm for the whole country. And I get the feeling sometimes that people that don't believe in what's going on is right have become very quiet.
I think there's a lot of hypocrisy going on in the country now because I just feel like everybody wants freedom and they want rights, but God forbid somebody disagree with you because then you'll get your head bitten off.
A couple months back, the president aimed his Twitter and trade war guns at Harley-Davidson. Even though they got a huge tax break, the company shut down a factory in Kansas City, laid off hundreds of workers, and said because of the tariffs, they'd have to start production in a new country overseas. Which begs the question, is this the ultimate loyalty test for his base? Do these folks pledge allegiance to the president or Harley-Davidson?
You know, I'm going to have to, go with what's going to make America better, and if Harley wants to choose to go somewhere else, then I'll choose to buy different bikes.
I personally love the man. I think he's doing a wonderful job.
Despite the president's disdain for my profession, they could not be nicer.
Do I strike you as an enemy of the people?
Not whatsoever. Not at all. We're sure glad to have you here.
But it's obvious that no amount of earnest reporting will change their minds.
Because if you look at Russia and the Mueller investigation, and there's a lot of red flags and dark clouds.
Well, that's usually pretty a lot of politicians, but one they're picking on because he's out of the outside. I mean, if you look at the Clintons, how come they can do things and no one else can?
I mean, I'm old enough to remember when the base loved Harley-Davidson and hated Russia, and it seems like it's flipped a little bit.
I don't think there's any reason for him to call him out or make him, we should try to be friendly with everyone, and if they don't want to be friends, then it's a whole nother story.
Even Vladimir Putin, even a dictator, a murderer?
Well, he met with Kim Jong-un as well.
Tell her fake news. We all know it.
Here, touch me.
Ask our Lord
Touch
and
me.
Savior Donald J. Trump. He'll tell you.
Back downtown, our presence sparks a debate between some Fox News fans from Texas and Bonnie from Nebraska.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, come on. Yeah, we do. You're an American, too. Get on the other side.
That's not true. I watch both.
See?
I go either way.
Which proves we now live in a media age where people can choose their own facts.
I have a friend who's very much Fox, and I go, yeah. I agree with you. No problem. Everybody has their own opinion. It's like...
That's true.
It's like everybody has one.
Because as long as they don't start shooting at each other, right?
But then the heckling is interrupted by a hero falling from the sky. Sergeant Dana Bowman, an Army Golden Knight who lost both legs in a midair collision. He lands with Old Glory, and just for a moment, it feels like we are all in this together.
Now, last week, the Chinese called the US actions blackmail. Today, it's full-fledged extortion The Chinese say the trade war serves only to hurt the United States. President Trump is tweeting his tariffs are, in his words, working big time. Christina Lassie is with me. So you've heard that excellent report from Bill Weir.
Yes.
People are betwixt and between on their views. They're not going to change their views one way or the other. But these tariffs, the president says they're working big time.
That's not true. Right now, anyway. If we take a report card at this moment in time, the tariffs aren't working in the sense that they aren't benefiting the average American, right? They are benefiting some specific industries. So I don't want to paint a broad brush here. But if you look on the whole, like the steel and aluminum industry, for example, but if you look in the whole, there are some negatives to these tariffs. One being we don't have a trade deal yet, right? And that was the purpose of imposing tariffs to begin with, right? A trade deal for the benefit of the American worker.
Right, but there is an argument that would say we are either at the beginning or the middle of this negotiation, and therefore, you're trying to sort of say, you're trying to see how the book ends before you've got to chapter 4.
Yeah, but he's claiming victory before chapter 4, so that's the problem here, right? We're grading him. He's claiming victory before the book is ended. So yes, it could be a successful strategy, and tariffs could work. But right now, consumer prices may be going up. There are some companies, as you know, who are warning about profit losses because of these tariffs. And consumers may have to pay more for items like dishwashers and chicken. So that is not a good thing heading into midterm elections. Look, to your point, it's not over. The story has a lot more to it than what we see now. One thing is for sure, though, the way that the president is framing this, it's making it sound like only the foreigners or only the other countries are going to pay, and that's just not true.
Let's just quickly remind ourselves, what's the next step in this in deadline terms? When do the next tariffs come in?
Well, we have that $16 billion on Chinese goods that is still at the end of the comment period, so they're probably going to be imposed at some point. Everybody's waiting for that. But the next big shoe to drop is the $200 billion.
Right, and that's...
The comment period is open. The company is going to come forward and say why or why not they should have these tariffs, why we should impose them, why we shouldn't impose them, and that by the end of the month, that comment period will be closed and the administration will take action or not take action.